Welcome everyone, my name is Rigel and welcome back to Review and Preview, a series where I take a look at the national finals the week past and also take a look at the national finals the week upcoming. Now, last year I did this series, I think I started in February, and I also had an accompanying blog post with each video, but this year I don't really have the time, because I'm traveling all these places, and also at my dormitory I just don't have the motivation to do as much stuff. So yeah, no blog posts for this series this year, but I'm still gonna try to cover the national finals as much as possible, even though admittedly I myself have not watched many of them. So yeah, for this week I'm going to take a look at 3 weeks actually instead of 2, because I'm actually recording this on the morning of a Saturday. In fact, it's the national finals are going to happen today, so I feel like most people would probably watch this after the fact, or at least after the national finals have all happened. So I'll try to get it up before then, but no promises, and so I think it would be a good idea for me to cover the national finals that are here as well for the week after. So yeah, I'm going to cover 3 weeks this time. I originally wanted to cover once again, actually, yeah, 3 weeks basically, but I wanted to do these 3 weeks. However, when I was in Tampere, I tried to record, and then after recording for an hour, the recording corrupted. Thanks, OBS. But yeah, so I'm not covering the first week of February, unfortunately. So I will, yeah, I'm not gonna cover that because we just don't have the time in this video. Let's be honest, it's already long enough. So yeah, I will cover the second week of February as well as the third, which is right now, and the fourth, which will be next week. So let's start with the second week of February, where we start with Eurovision LT, the national final of Lithuania. Now, despite me being in Lithuania, I did not watch this. One reason was that I was not actually in Lithuania during this heat. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I was actually at UMK in person in Tampere. So why would I watch another national final while I was watching one in person, right? So yeah, I didn't watch that in person. Or, well, I wasn't going to watch it in person anyway because it's pre-recorded, but still, I didn't really watch it as it was being broadcast. Plus, my dormitory doesn't have a TV, so yeah, if I was going to watch it, I would be watching it on my laptop anyway, so yeah. I didn't watch it, but this was a kind of important heat because we had the Roop in this heat, and needless to say, they qualified for the final, as did Queens of Roses. They also qualified, I believe, last year or the year before. Then they had a song called Washing Machine, but yeah, they're back, and they also qualified, but also, we had Lina Stalite, who was second in the televote, but she did not qualify because of the jury putting her lower. So, going back to the Roop for a minute, they've actually brought a very different kind of song, and it's called Simple Joy, which is a really chill, really laid-back song. And you might remember the other band members were playing like electronic type stuff, like keyboards and drum pads and stuff. And this time they're just bringing a more simple instruments like guitars. So yeah, it's a more laid-back song, a more chill song, and frankly, I don't think it has any chance at Eurovision. But yes, them doing something different, and I'm just praying that they don't win because this has, again, no chance at Eurovision. So yeah, nonetheless, they are still a big favorite because they are pretty well known throughout Lithuania, and they do have like a kind of dedicated fan club. So yeah, I will look out for them, but I will get back to Eurovision LT in a little bit when I talk about this week. So with that said, let's move on to Sweden, where we had the second heat of Melody Festivalen. Now, in case you missed the rules, Basically, this year, instead of having an Andra Juansen or a second chance round, this time they're having just a second round of voting. And actually, they added two more songs. So there were five heats in general. There are five heats. Each heat has six artists or singers. And basically, two of them will go direct to the final, direct till final, and then two of them will go to the kind of second voting round, and I like to call it a runoff round. And then two of them are just non-qualified, and they can't really get back to the final, if you will. So basically, in this semi, we had some very interesting names. We had lmao return. You might remember him from Bluffin', and this time his song is called Dragon, I believe, and some people some people describe it as kind of Imagine Dragons type stuff. So maybe there's the kind of inspiration. I'll be honest, I have not listened to the song, and lmao actually won the semi, while the other singer to go direct till final was Maria Sur with a song called When I'm Gone, or When You're Gone. I can't remember, but yeah, this time her effort is very different from her previous one. That was kind of a ballad type song. This is much more of a pop song, and a lot of people are praising this. The song is kind of mid, but the staging was actually really good. A lot of great camera angles, a lot of good lighting work, basically. And yeah, it's good staging, and there's people still saying that she could actually win Melfest this year. I don't know that for sure, but I will get back to Melfest for this week and also for next week. So there's more winner discussion there. So with that said, let's go from Sweden, go right next door to Finland. With that said, let's move on to Finland, where we had the national final Uuden musiikin kilpailu, or shortened to UMK. Now, this is actually the first ever national final that I've watched live. In fact, this particular segment, I'm actually recording live from Tampere. I'm in my hotel room right now in Tampere, and I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. So, I think that as an event, it was actually very successful. Everything ended up very well. Previously, the national final was held in a small arena with around 2,000 capacity, and it was still full of really, really good songs. And this year, we've moved up to a 15,000 capacity arena, the Nokia Arena here in Tampere, which ironically is larger than the arena where actual Eurovision will be hosted in May, but that's a discussion for another day. Back to UMK, I think as a whole, the event went very successfully. There was a pre-party, basically, for around 2 or 3 hours, I believe. I actually went in a bit late. The pre-party started around, I would say, 6 p.m., but I only had left the house, or rather left the hotel around 6 p.m. So yeah, there's no rush, actually. You don't have to get there by 6 p.m. So I went and got myself dinner / lunch, or whatever you call the first meal of the day, because I woke up very late. So yeah, I went to a burger place. This is probably stuff that should be going in the vlog, but I don't really care. I went to a burger place. It was very good. It was my first time ever actually having pink burgers. That is, burgers that aren't fully cooked all the way, the ground beef. And it was alright. I honestly couldn't taste much of a difference, but yeah, there's that. I also had animal-style fries, which seems to be different from this animal-style fries that you see in America. But still, again, very tasty. So yeah, I had my meal, and then I headed towards the Nokia Arena. Now, here's the funny thing. I actually ordered a one-day bus pass for Tampere. They have an app where you can just directly buy a bus pass there, and I ended up not using it at all because Tampere is a very walkable city. So after walking from the hotel to the burger joint, I just went from there straight to the arena. It really didn't take that long. Well, the navigation says it would take around 14 minutes, but honestly, it felt shorter than that. So yeah, it was a very, very easy walk once I was in the city center. So yeah, I just walked to the Nokia Arena. I found my entrance, or actually, I'm pretty sure both entrances are actually the same. Now that I think about it, even though I did have a specific seat, I don't think that really matters once you go until you go in. So I don't think the entrance really mattered. Anyways, yeah, there were a lot of people, of course, a lot of Finnish people, but to my surprise, I was not the only Asian there. So, yeah, that was interesting. And by the way, speaking of Asian, if you were at UMK and you saw a socially awkward Asian guy wearing a Gap hoodie, that was me. So maybe if you're going to a pre-party or something, you can say hi if you're interested. So yeah, there's that. And after that, I entered and I went around looking for places to put my coat and stuff, or jacket, and you have to pay for that. Yeah, I think you have to pay for like €3 for depositing your jacket. So if you don't have that kind of money, you can just hold your jacket when you're walking around, which for me at least isn't really convenient. So I'm fine paying those €3. And speaking of paying, it is very, very expensive in there. Like, even if we don't count merch, which is 100% optional, if you want any sort of hydration in there, they confiscate your water bottles, and you can't get them back until you leave. So basically, if you want any sort of hydration, even just water, you have to pay €4 for one singular bottle of water. So yeah, that's questionable at best, and I mean, I know it's kind of just an elaborate ruse to get people to spend more money there, but still, it's not very nice. But yeah, I found my seat. It was pretty straightforward. I met up with a few people. I met up with Heini, who is a Finnish Eurofan who I am in a group chat with. I also met up with eSpot Pod, who you might know as Renata. She actually, used to run this kind of podcast with another person. I don't know where that's gone, to be honest. Like, it seems like Renata is basically just using the eSpot Pod account as her personal account, which, fair enough. But anyways, yeah, I met up with Renata. She's super nice. If you ever see her at some sort of event, feel free to just go up to her and just chat for a while. And it's just really cool. We talked for a little while about how I'm basically coming from East Asia all the way here to Finland, of course, via Vilnius. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I chatted with a few people. I saw a few other Eurofans as well. Like Ona, Oona. If you're on Twitter, I think you'll know her, and also Faith, who is a graphic designer, I believe, from England. She also went all the way here to Tampere, and yeah, just lots of Eurofans. There were more probably, but I think I missed a few of them. But yeah, after that, I went around looking for drinks, cocktails, and such. I didn't get any at the beginning anyway. I just got some water, but I did note how expensive the drinks were. Like, each cocktail, if you want the alcoholic version, that is €11, which is expensive, but also I was at a bad club a couple days ago, and I got charged €10 for a pina colada, which, speaking of which, why did they not have pina coladas here? You'd think that after celebrating Garia, you would think that they would have pina coladas, but no, you can't actually get a pina colada, which is kind of strange. Anyways, they had cocktails named after or indirectly after the acts at UMK. For example, one of the song from Sigh and Kicks is called Dancing with Demons, and they came up with this kind of lemon-based, limoncello-based cocktail, and they called it Dancing with Lemons. And also, of course, one of the participants is called Sara Sipola, and they called the gin and tonic Gin and Sipola. So I'm not sure where that really comes from, but yeah, you do you. But yeah, the drinks are pretty expensive, and even the non-alcoholic ones are like 6 or 7 euros. So yeah, it's expensive stuff. If you don't drink, then good for you. You're not spending as much money there. But yeah, anyways, this show eventually got underway. Like I said, I thought it was a very good show. It ran relatively smoothly, although at times during performances, for some reason, the TV feed would actually just cut off in the arena. To my understanding, the broadcast wasn't really interrupted, but there were like live TV feeds in the arena in huge monitors on the sides, and sometimes those would just randomly cut out. And also, if you ask me, the performance of Sigh and Kicks was a little bit of a mess, not really to their own fault, but rather the cameramen who were like sliding on the floor and taking weird shots and stuff like that. So yeah, that was kind of weird. So yeah, honestly, I might even say that's my least favorite of the night. But in any case, I will go through each act very, very, very quickly. So yeah, first off, let's talk about Jesse Markin, which is interesting because I thought it was Jesse Markin, but no, it's Jesse Markin, who sang a kind of rap type song, and the staging was very, very simplistic, but I thought it didn't need much sophisticated staging anyway. So yeah, I thought it was fine. Although it did lack a little bit of energy, if you ask me. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was pretty solid. And then after that, let's talk about Sex Main, who sang the song Mania or Mania, which is very much a departure from his brother's style, Isaac Sene, who of course was already in UMK a few years back. A very big difference in their styles, of course, and I thought the staging was very cool, actually, with the whole the restraining strings or ropes or whatever. I thought it was a very cool stage concept, but the vocals were a little bit off, I would say. So yeah, it was still a good show. And then after that, we have Mikhail Gabriel and New Blue, who I think the staging was a little bit static, if you ask me. The camera angles were cool, but at the end of the day, the message of the song is just yikes. And I'm really, really glad that they didn't win, but, at what cost? Speaking of cost, that cost is Windows 95 Man, who eventually came to win the national final. I'll talk about the points they got later, but basically I thought actually it was a bit too static. The song is very upbeat, but with the exception of the whole fire in the underwear part, or as I like to call it, liar, liar, pants on fire, except for that part, I thought the entire performance was a little bit too static for such a upbeat song. So yeah, that's just what I thought, and I don't really like the song, I'll be honest. I have it second last in my ranking. So yeah, let's go a little bit more positive now. Cine Sabotage with Cuore Moi, and I think that the initial hairstyle was something rather questionable, and overall I still think the music video did a better job of portraying the song than the live performance did. But still, it's a respectable effort, and I do not think that it deserved to be last place. But maybe that's just what happens to all gay anthems in UMK anyway. And finally, my winner of the night, Sara Sipola with Paskana. It's simple staging. There's like this glowing ring type thing, and there's also a a ball of light, which is if you look at the backstage, basically they just have people throwing it around here and there, and people keep talking about how they're scared it might actually accidentally hit Sarah, but of course that didn't happen. And yeah, it's a really cool, simple but very effective staging, I think. And I think this definitely should have won UMK and gone to Eurovision, but it didn't. And here is where I talk about the voting system. Now, UMK has a very unique voting system in that, in countries like Norway, they like to rattle on about how the televote should have more power. Well, UMK took that to the extreme. They have a 75 to 25 split, which means that basically the televote has 75% or 3/4 of the whole vote, while the jury only has 25%. This means that the entire jury voting sequence, I'll be honest, doesn't matter if you have acts that are getting enough points from the televote. So a good example actually is Windows 95 Man. They got last place in the jury, but then they won the televote, and even though they got last place in the jury, it didn't matter because they got enough points overall to just win the whole thing. In contrast, Sara Sipola won the jury and still came second in the televote, mind you. And even with those stellar results, she did not win the national final because of how much the televote matters in UMK, and that's why you often see Finland in recent years sending more televote friendly songs than jury friendly. So yeah, that's I think a syndrome of their voting system, and needless to say, someone calculated a theoretical 50-50, and needless to say, Sara Sipola won that as well. But Sara Sipola didn't really get angry about losing. She was a good sport. She sang the song at the karaoke section in the Nokia Arena at the after party. So yeah, she's great. I hope she returns to UMK one day. And just know that I think this was very, very popular as well with Finnish people. Again, this came second in the televote. I think by a difference of 70 something points, as in Windows 95 Man was 70 something points ahead in terms of the televote. So yeah, still very popular. I think she still got like 215 points in the televote. So yeah, still hardly a bad result. I mean, the song itself is also a stable hit. It's still top 5 in Spotify in Finland, I believe. So yeah, there's that. I hope that one day Sara Sipola will return to UMK and take the Eurovision participation that she deserves. But for now, we will be having Windows 95 Man, which it's still such a ridiculous name. But yeah, Windows 95 Man will be representing Finland in Eurovision 2024. And if you ask for my thoughts on that, basically, right after the show ended, me and Haney went out to the bar, and we basically discussed how much we wanted Finland to not qualify, which I don't know if they will NQ. I would say it's actually kind of borderline. I know it's like a fun song and everything, but it might come off as a little bit off-putting, especially if they might disallow the fires and sparks that they used with the underwear. So we have to see what happens. But with that said, Windows 95 Man is representing Finland at Eurovision 2024. It's not the results that I would have wanted when I came here to Tampere, but it happened. What can we do? All we can do is hope that Yle decides to change the voting system next year so that the jury has a little bit more actual influence. So yeah, that is it. With that said, from Finland we move to Latvia. All right, you just heard me from last week say this because, as I mentioned earlier, I tried to record a video like this last week, and after 1 hour of footage was corrupted, I decided to just record a segment for UMK and just call it a day. And now I have a little bit of an addendum, and basically there's a bit more extra news coming out of UMK now, which is that Windows 95 man still hasn't decided whether he is going to actually go to Eurovision. Partially the reason is because of the concern of Israel still participating in the contest, but another one, although actually I don't know if you saw, but the other vocalist called Henry, he actually had like the Palestine flag on his nails, so that's really cool. But yeah, that was one concern, obviously, and actually as a concern that a lot of the artists from UMK had expressed. So that's one thing, but actually another thing that was brought up was that Windows 95 man did not expect to win. A lot of this effort was kind of a last minute thing. Like I mentioned earlier, there was another lead vocalist called Henry, who originally was just a co-writer for the song, but they couldn't find another vocalist, so Henry kind of offered to be the vocalist, one of the other vocalists, and so that's why you see two people on stage, and in the music video, despite only Windows 95 man being credited. So for a while I was wondering, is Windows 95 man two people? The answer is no, it is just the one guy wearing the Windows 95 t-shirt, and the other guy is a vocalist named Henry, who also co-wrote the song. So this was kind of a last minute thing in itself, and after this, actually, Windows 95 man said that he didn't actually expect to win UMK. And actually, it's gotten to the point where he had to go to therapy to actually handle this, to deal with this, and still he's not sure whether he's actually wanting to go to Eurovision. And also there's the whole thing with Henry that they have to resolve. Are they going to go by Windows 95 man, or are they going to go by Windows 95 man and Henry or something like that? So yeah, it's a lot of complicated stuff, but taking this into account, and also taking Israel into account, Yle, the Finnish broadcaster, has said that they will start negotiations with Sara Sipilä if Windows 95 man decline to go to Eurovision. But it's also complicated for Sara Sipilä because her, alongside Jesse Markin and I think a few others as well, have expressed that they don't know whether they would go to Eurovision if Israel was still participating. So do they just continue going down? Do they just go to the group, the duo who sang Vox Populi? I can't remember their names, but yeah, do they just keep going down, or what? We don't really know for sure. It's pretty uncertain, but for now, Windows 95 man is representing Finland. But this is still kind of a developing story. He could very well say no, due to the Israel situation, and also with his kind of own mental health. So we have to see what happens. But again, this is a developing story, and we still don't know all the details. Although we might get more in the next few days if I can upload this in time. So yeah. With that said, let's actually get to Latvia for real now. And basically, we had the national final, Supernova, which is their usual national final. And basically, from the start of Supernova, they've always had Dons as the favorite, Dons. He was always the favorite, and basically after the songs were announced, there were people already saying in Facebook comments and stuff, Dons, good luck in Sweden. So yeah, it should not come as a surprise to you when Dons eventually did win the national final, although after the semifinal there was speculation that a young duo named Vastulas could overtake them and overtake Dons and become a surprise winner, but that didn't happen, and Dons, with his song named Hollow, eventually did win the national final, which was a kind of underwhelming result, but it happened anyway. And now Dons will be representing Latvia in Eurovision 2024. That's not the end of the story though, because the original version of Hollow is completely in English, but there actually is a version of the song which is completely in the Latvian language. And actually, in the winner's reprise, Dons actually sang the last chorus of the song in Latvian, which is really, really cool. You might remember that Aya did this as well, although that was baked into the English song. So we don't really know what's going to happen. Maybe Dons will be bringing a slightly altered version of Hollow to Eurovision. We'll have to see what happens. But regardless of what happens, this is actually seen as one of Latvia's best efforts to qualify, although it's not necessarily seen as one of their best efforts, but according to fans, it just sounds like something that would qualify for the final. Basically, a lot of people are used to the more indie, the more adventurous Latvia, and this is just kind of safe and relatively commercial. So this is something that could qualify, and I think it will be very interesting to see perhaps you can say underdogs like Latvia and Georgia qualify for the final. But we'll have to see what happens with that, and whether they elevate the staging for Dons, which you could say was kind of underwhelming at Supernova. Nonetheless, Dons will be representing Latvia in Eurovision 2024. So from Latvia, we go to a very, very long-lasting national final, and I don't care, it selects a Eurovision entry, it is a national final. It is San Remo, or the Festival di San Remo, which is, of course, Italy's way of selecting a Eurovision entry. Now, prior to the last night, there were a few favorites. There was Angelina Mango, there was Annalisa, who was basically kind of touted by the director of the festival as who he wanted to go to Eurovision, and there were also some other favorites, although not necessarily by fans, mind you. One of them was Giolier, who is from Naples. He actually sang a song in the Neapolitan language, which is a kind of minority language that is spoken in Naples, and the people of Naples kind of really rallied behind him. So there were I don't want to say fears. There were speculation that just based off of the regional voting from Naples, that Giolier could win it just off of that alone. I don't, obviously that didn't happen, but I don't think it was an impossibility, but we'll get to the super final later. But for the final, there were also other favorites like Mahmood, for example, and also there were other returning names like Diodato, for example, and Il Volo. You might remember them from 2015. But in the end, the super final came out to be, in no particular order, Annalisa, Angelina Mango, Gali, Irama, and Giolier. And you might notice that I didn't talk about Mahmood, because Mahmood was 6th place. It is just really funny, but yeah, Mahmood actually was 5th in the televote. However, because the jury, the radio jury and the press jury voted him down, he barely missed out on the super final of 5 members. There's a 5-long super final, I guess. But once the super final was set, people started voting again, and presumably the juries tanked Giolier because obviously he didn't win. But it was revealed afterwards that he had gotten 60% of the entire televote. So, Naples really, really rallied behind him, and because had the juries not tanked him as much, he could have very well been representing Italy right now. But he didn't, and the jury instead voted for mostly Angelina Mango. So for the first time in 10 years, we have a female solo winner, and for the first time in 8 years, we will have an Italian female singer going to Eurovision, as Angelina Mango has confirmed that she will go to Eurovision with her song La Noia. So yeah, I guess that's a win for Italian feminism, I suppose. But yeah, this kind of strange that for once Italy actually chose a woman to go to Eurovision. But yeah, it's a bop. I think it's actually number one in the Eurovision scoreboard app right now. So yeah, people are loving it. So those are the national finals that happened in the second week of February. And now let's get on to the third week, starting with, as of recording this, a national final that already happened, and that is Germany. Now, Germany had the national final Das Deutsche Finale, which they love changing the name of their national final. But before this national final, there was another mini national final. You can see here called Ich will zum ESC, which means I want to go to Eurovision, and basically they're like taking random singers and basically coaching them through a series of episodes. And the winner of that little wildcard round gets to take part in the national final proper. So yeah, Das Deutsche Finale happened tonight. The big fan favorite, I must stress, fan favorite, was Rick, spelled R-Y-K. Rick with the song Oh Boy. That was the fan favorite. People said it could actually do really well in Eurovision. It could get like top 10, maybe even do really well in jury as well. But he didn't win. And ironically, even though people said that the song could do well in the jury, I think he came fifth jury out of 8 candidates. So yeah, that wasn't very nice. And, needless to say, the German public didn't really vote for it either. But they did vote for Isak, who is another of the contestants. He's not actually from the wildcard round that was won by a singer called Florian, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And despite the tendency for the German public to vote for wildcards, he was not very much voted on. And actually in the jury vote, it was hilarious because everyone else at least had like 30 plus points. Florian, I still don't know how you pronounce it, had 8 points. And for perspective, that is literally 1 point, the lowest amount of points from each jury. So yeah, that was not a good look. But still, yeah, Florian didn't really do so well. But someone who did very well in both jury and televote was Isak. Like I mentioned earlier, he won the televote actually, and he also won the jury vote. So in this case, the international jury, actually agreed with the televote, and they selected Isak, who will now be representing Germany in Eurovision 2024. Now, the thing is, I haven't listened to the whole song, and to my understanding, it's not a very interesting song. People are already saying that Germany is returning to the bottom 5, and well, I guess continuing in the bottom 5. But some people are saying we already know who's going to come last in Eurovision 2024. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Although next year they're kind of considering handing the selection process over to another broadcaster, although it's still going to be within the ARD framework, the ARD like kind of big broadcaster in Germany. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. Maybe it'll get better, maybe it won't, but yeah, this year I don't think Germany is going to do particularly well, unless for some reason the juries like the song as much as the international jury did in the national final. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. The fan favorites didn't win. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention another German favorite was Max Mutzke, who represented Germany in 2004, and this time he returned with a song that is even more dated than his song from 2004. And actually, it was speculated that people would vote for him en masse because they knew about Max Mutzke. But actually, like I mentioned, Isak had won the national final by winning both the jury and the televote. So yeah, clearly he wasn't the favorite, but still, yeah, it's not a great result. Isak's song is not particularly interesting. So yeah, we hope for better times ahead. So with that said, let's move on to the national finals that are happening less than 24 hours away as of recording this, and we start with Moldova, who are returning to the national final Etapa Națională, which in Romanian means basically national stage, I think, or something like that. I'm not really sure. But yeah, this year we originally had Ali on the Moon back in the competition. However, a day after the names were announced, she and also the singer that she was doing a duet with suddenly announced that for no reason whatsoever they would just withdraw. So yeah, no Ali on the Moon this year, but we did have Valeria Pasha, who is the one of the backing singers of Pasha Parfeni last year, and she decided this year that she would write a song with Pasha Parfeni and try to come back as a main singer instead of being a backing singer of Pasha Parfeni. So yeah, Valeria Pasha is in the national final, and she also qualified for the last 11. There were going to be 10, but I wondered why it was 11, but it turns out 9th, 10th, and 11th in the overall rankings were a freeway tie. So I guess this is why they decided to include one extra candidate. So yeah, we have 11 songs in the final now, and there are actually a few favorites. I wouldn't say there is one solid favorite, but one favorite is Natalia Barbu. Valeria Pasha is also a bit of a favorite, and also Yulia Teleuca. So yeah, those are kind of the names to look out for. Like I mentioned, Natalia Barbu, Valeria Pasha, and Yulia Teleuca. And just one funny thing that I noticed was that there are 2 songs named Fever in the national final, like among the 11 songs. So that was interesting. So we have to see what happens, but I don't think people are particularly making much noise this year about Moldova. I don't think they're particularly clamoring to say that they're going to come top 10 or top 5 or whatever. So we have to see what happens. With that said, let's move on to Estonia, who are also having a national final very early in the evening, and basically they're returning to the national final Estilao, but basically this year they changed the format, so instead of having 2 semifinals and a final, they will only have 1 semifinal where 15 songs have to compete to be one of the 5 that qualify for the final, and then there will be another 5 that were pre-qualified for the final, as if this were MGP pre-2023 or something like that. And a lot of people noted that the songs in the pre-qualified round were actually worse than a lot of the songs in the semi-finalists. So yeah, there were a few pretty good songs that I think should have made the final, or should have been among this pre-finalists, pre-qualified finalists, but yeah, they missed out. But still, there is one big favorite among Estonians, and it's also the favorite among a lot of fans as well. And I have written down the name here, and let me try to get it in one go. It's called Nendest narkootikumidest ei tea me küll midagi, which means we know nothing about these drugs, or something along these lines. But yeah, let me repeat that one more time. That's Nendest narkootikumidest ei tea me küll midagi. So yeah, that is a very long name. I think a lot of people just call it drug song because, like I mentioned, it translates to we know nothing about these drugs. So they just call the song drug song, which is fair enough. Or they call the song just by the name of the artists, which are 5 Minust and Pulup. They are, I guess, 2 groups combined together, and yeah, the staging in the semifinal was a bit of a mess. I think they used like treadmills for some reason. So yeah, that was interesting, but they still remain like the big favorites for Estonia, and they will probably represent Estonia in Eurovision 2024. So yeah, there's that. But also Ollie is back. You might remember Ollie from Venom last year, but this year he's back with a song called My Friend, and he could win as well. But I don't think it's very likely. If you look at like the trends on Spotify or on YouTube even, 5 Minus and Bulup are just a lot more popular with their song. Let me read this out again. Nendest narkotikumidest eitä mekül midagi. So yeah, that's Eesti Lao for you. The winning song will probably be Nendest narkotikumidest eitä mekül midagi, and that's about it for Estonia. And if you're interested, actually, by the way, the national final will be streamed on YouTube on the official Eurovision channel. So if you're interested in watching, you don't necessarily have to go to ESC Plus. You can watch it on the Eurovision channel if you so wish. So if that's it, let's move on to the third heat of Melodifestivalen. And in this heat, we will have Cassiopeia, Clara Klingenström, Gunilla Persson, and Jacqueline. There's two more, but I'm pretty sure I just read out the top four in that heat. But a lot of people really loved Clara Klingenström last time with the song Behöva inte dig idag. That was great, and this time, I think people describe the song as a little bit weaker, but they still like it nonetheless. And actually, shockingly enough, people watched the rehearsals on the song, and afterwards the press did a little kind of audience poll. And shockingly, Clara Klingenström actually came last. So yeah, that's a little bit of a yikes moment. But yeah, we also had Cassiopeia, who actually, I believe, won the audience poll. We also had Gunilla Persson, which is a very, very interesting figure. She's a relatively old actress and is known to be rather pompous and, I guess, eccentric in a way. But some people described her, rehearsal footage as just normal. So I don't really know about that. But we'll have to see what happens. And also Jacqueline is also described to have a good song as well. So yeah, we'll see how each of those do. And I think Cassiopeia, Clara Klingenström, Gunilla Persson, and Jacqueline are probably the top four that we're looking for, just in whichever order. So if that's it, let's move from Sweden to their immediate neighbor, Denmark, where they will be having DMGP as their national final. There are 8 songs in the final once again, and last week they actually did a little bit of a kind of pre-show for DMGP. They had to have the singers do a kind of a cappella performance to show that they had live vocals. And I don't think anyone watched that. I still haven't seen anyone mention it. So yeah, there's that, and there is a favorite in Denmark, and that favorite is Saba with the song named Sand. But also, in the running order, Saba is opening the show. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe Saba will win, maybe she won't. But there are also some other big names like Basim. He represented Denmark on home soil, actually. I think that was 2014. Basim represented Denmark back in 2014 and is back now with a song basically 10 years on, actually. But yeah, people don't really have much to say about this. They aren't really getting excited over this, nor are they really getting excited over Aura Dione, who is also very big. A very big artist in Denmark. However, this song is also regarded as not that good. So yeah, the favorite among fans at the moment is Saba with the song Sand, and we'll see whether she will be able to win tomorrow, or I guess tonight as I record this, in Denmark. So yeah, that's it. And from that, let's go to a national final that I am watching live. That is Eurovision Daskes LD. If you were wondering what Daskes means, it just means dot, basically. Eurovision Daskes LD. And the reason I say I'm watching it live is because I am literally recording this video from Klaipeda, which is the host city this year for the Lithuanian national final. Now, with other national finals, I kind of have to fly there to watch them, and I think Klaipeda does have an airport, but in general, I think it's just a lot cheaper to go by train. So yeah, I took the train here from Vilnius, and yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I'm actually recording this from my hotel room in Klaipeda. Earlier, I did a little vlog of my kind of arrival, and I'm sure I will be uploading that at some point. I can't promise anything because I haven't even edited day 2 of just arriving in Vilnius yet, which is coming up on a month at this point. But yeah, I'm gonna get to editing that day 3, day 4. Those were the ones I recorded, and then after that I have to edit Tampere, and then after that I will be editing this. So yeah, a lot of work for me to do, and that's not even counting schoolwork. At Vilnius University. So yeah, a lot of stuff to do. But yeah, tomorrow, or I guess as you can see here, roughly in 14 hours or so, we will be having the national final for Lithuania. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I think basically it is a 2-horse race between Sylvester Belt and the Roop, and I don't think there's actually any competition. I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure Sylvester Belt is just taking this. If you didn't know, Sylvester Belt actually basically premiered in the first heat with his song named Luktelk, which means wait a little bit. And yeah, that's basically the song. It's kind of, I guess, electronic dance type song. I'll be honest, I'm not wowed by it. A lot of people seem to love it. A lot of people are obsessed with it. I don't really see it. I mean, I enjoy it as it is. I like dancing to the Bet Man Reikia Shocked part. That was pretty cool. I think the instrumental is great. He sounds good. The TikTok dances are a little awkward, but I think as a whole, the package, it works, it qualifies, but it's hardly winning material. So yeah, I don't think it's well, I wouldn't say I don't think it's that good. That sounds mean, but yeah, I don't think it's necessarily winning material. But if/when he wins, I'm thinking that this is a respectable entry for Lithuania this year. Maybe next year we could have Ruda Loop return and win the whole thing. Who knows? And then we'll be going to Kaunas for the show, because Kaunas currently has the biggest arena in Lithuania, and I think in Europe actually. But we'll get to that in a separate video maybe. We'll have to see. But yeah, sorry, getting back to Eurovision Daškas LT. Yeah, basically the favorite is Sylvester Belt. He's kind of like the biggest favorite ever. Like, he's stayed on number 1 in the Spotify charts for days and weeks now. He's only been, I think, overtaken once or twice, and that was just for a very brief time period. And yeah, so I think Sylvester Belt is a very, very clear winner. I think he's going to get 12 points from both votes. And then in the super final, because yes, we have a super final now, I think he'll win the super final as well, even despite the previous popularity of the Roop. So I think we can expect the super final to have the Roop, Sylvester Belt, and some other singer, maybe VB Gang or something like that. But other than that, I'm pretty sure this is a cakewalk for Sylvester Belt. So we'll have to see what happens, of course. And I'll be recording from within the arena as well, to the best of my ability. And it's actually going to be packed. There's only like 5 seats left, and the capacity is like 22,000. So yeah, it's a very popular event, you can see, and yeah, I'm excited to go there. We'll have to see what happens, but if nothing goes wrong, I'm pretty sure Sylvester Belt is taking this. And speaking of taking, I hope I can get a photo with Sylvester Belt, so I can say I finally have a photo with a Eurovision artist. So yeah, that is Lithuania. I'm here right now in Klaipeda, and I'll be going to the national final live tomorrow, or I guess once I wake up. So yeah, that's Lithuania. Let's move on to Iceland, who are having the first semifinal of Söngvakeppnin, which is of course their national final. By the way, Söngvakeppnin literally just translates to song contest. But yeah, basically for this week, I don't have a lot to say because I only listened to one song, and that is Biomind by the duo named Vibe. But one thing I can say is that RUV, the Icelandic broadcaster, actually said they have temporarily decided to basically disconnect or unlink Söngvakeppnin from Eurovision, which is interesting. And they say that basically their Eurovision participation hinges on whether the winning artist wants to go to Eurovision. So if the winning artist is willing to go to Eurovision even despite the participation of Israel, then Iceland will be there in Malmö. But if the winning artist says that I don't want to go to Eurovision because of Israel, then Iceland will be withdrawing from the contest this year. So actually, we don't know for sure whether Iceland will be in Eurovision 2024. And this is actually reflected in the people in Iceland. They are actually some of the most vocal people about Israel. You know, of course, you remember Eurovision 2019 when during the voting sequence, Hattari put up a, Free Palestine kind of banner. There was nothing they could really do about it because it was just there in the voting sequence, so they kind of had to show Hattari. So yeah, there was that. But then this year, the OGAE Iceland and also the Icelandic Association of Songwriters have both said that Iceland should not participate as long as Israel is still taking part. And of course, in response, Israelis have insulted Iceland. What do you expect? So yeah, that is Söngvakeppnin. In the first semifinal, we have Vibe with the song Biomind, and also I forgot to mention that as usual, the rules are kind of the same. So in the semifinals, every artist has to sing in Icelandic. So yeah, every song has an Icelandic version, and some of them, or actually most of them, have an English version. And depending on the artist, they can choose to sing the English version if they qualify for the final, and they can also just sing the Icelandic version. And this is going to be interesting when we go and talk about the second semi. But for now, this is the first semi-final. I've only listened to Biomind by Vibe. I haven't listened to the other stuff. But we'll have to see what happens with the qualifiers. So those are the national finals happening this week. And for now, let's have a very brief diversion into internal selections, because Poland is announcing their artists next Monday. Now, there's been a lot of speculation on who this could be. Actually, there's already a premiere on the Eurovision channel for Poland's artist. They say it's a music video, and this sparked conversation because Justyna, who is the kind of big favorite to represent Poland, it's been very, very popular across a lot of platforms. Justyna's song Witcher Taro Horo doesn't actually have a music video. It has live performance video. It has a kind of lyric visualizer video type thing. But this song itself doesn't actually have an independent music video, so some people are speculating that it might not be Justyna. And yes, this is the same Justyna from 1995 who is still making music, and she came out with a banger called Witcher Tower Horror right around New Year's, and it was actually performed on the New Year's Eve concert, basically. But since then, TVP have changed hands, and they might be seen as trying to move away from the previous TVP, which was, of course, ruled over by PIS, the previous ruling party. So we don't know for sure how things are going to go. Another favorite that is potentially going to represent Poland is Luna with the song The Tower. Now, this has been criticized a little bit. I haven't listened to the song. I haven't listened to most of the songs, let's just say. But this has been criticized by some fans for saying that it deviates too much from Luna's usual style. But yeah, Luna could represent Poland with the song The Tower. But there's also another rumor that I think some singer, I can't remember his first name, but some singer with the surname Maciejczak, he will be representing Poland with a song. I think it's in Polish. I'm not sure. But those rumors also claim that Justyna only came fourth in the internal selection. So we'll have to see what happens. We don't know that for sure. There are a lot of rumors coming out of Poland at the moment. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. The Polish broadcaster will announce the name at, you can see here, 9 a.m. In Poland on Monday. The day after that, on 8 p.m. Or at 8 a.m. actually, we will have Musti release a song named Before the Party's Over. Now, some people have already actually listened to the song. There was this kind of pre-listen party, I guess. And some of the editors from the Belgian Eurovision site Song Festival BE actually went there, and they described the song as dark pop and it's not an immediate hit, but the song does grow and it will need some visual identity to really come alive on stage. So yeah, personally, I'm actually really excited about this because I've listened to a handful of songs from Musti and I thought they were all pretty damn good. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, this again, it returns to Belgium's usual style of dark pop, and I can't wait to see what happens. And I think it's going to be great. We'll have to see how it really plays out. So after that, we have the start of Dora. You can see here they have semifinals now. Last time Dora had a semifinal was actually 2010, and I believe last time they had two semifinals was either 2008 or 2006. So yeah, this is a long time coming. They haven't had semifinals in a long time, and this time they've actually gotten some special guests to perform at the semifinals of Dora. In the first semifinal, they will have Slimane, who is representing France this year. They will have Slimane perform his song Mon Amour at the semifinal. And in the second semifinal, they have gone next door to Slovenia, and Raven will perform Veronica in semifinal 2. So that will be very interesting. Yeah, and they'll have semifinals, and I'm not going to talk too much about the songs for two reasons. One of which is that I just don't know a lot of the songs. And second, we pretty much have a winner. It's kind of like Latvia, where we already basically know who's going to win. But I'll get to Dora when we get to it. So for now, let's get to next week, which is, I believe, week 4 of February. Sorry, not March. And so yeah, week 4 of February, we will start with the 4th heat of Melfest. This is going to be a very exciting heat because we have Dottir and we also have Danu Saucedo. And you might remember Danu Saucedo from coming second place after Lorraine. And according to some rumors, he is coming for the win. So that could be huge. And maybe we could have Danu Saucedo immediately follow Lorraine in Eurovision. Who knows? But of course, more fans are excited about Dottir after she said she wouldn't ever return to Eurovision or to Melfest, and suddenly she's back, and she described her song as kind of similar in style, I would say, to Bulletproof. So we'll have to see how that goes. So yeah, this is going to be an exciting heat. Certainly, no offense, but much more exciting, I would say, than Heat 3. But yeah, we will have Dottir and Danu Saucedo, and I think those are the kind of two to really look out for the 4th heat of Melody Festivalen, and we could very well have our eventual winner from here, or from Heat 5 when we'll have Marcus and Martinez and also Medina. So yeah, that's a heat to look out for, definitely. And after that, we have the second semifinal of Sangva Kapanen, where we'll be having none other than Bashar Murad, who is a Palestinian artist who actually worked with Hatari a while back. And he has decided for some reason to enter the national final of Iceland. And after this announcement, the odds for Iceland really grew short. And some people are saying Iceland will win just because they have a Palestinian representing them. First off, it's not even guaranteed that he's going to win, but even then, he would have to agree to go to Eurovision first. So, yeah, there's a lot of hurdles along the way. And even then, I'll be honest, I don't think really his song is a winner. I love the song, don't get me wrong. It's a great song. It's definitely not something you would expect in terms of message or whatever. It's not really a kind of I Love Palestine type song. It's a song about the Wild West, and it's not something you hear every day in Eurovision, of course, and personally I hope he keeps it in Icelandic because I just think it sounds cooler. The English lyrics are kind of lame. But we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, this is the semifinal when we'll be having Bashar Murad, but we will also be having Siga Osk. You might remember Siga Osk from, I think, 2 years ago, and she's back now, basically. And another name that's back is Hera Björk, who represented Iceland, I think, in 2010 or 2009 or something like that. So yeah, she's back as well. So I would say between Bashar Murad, Siga Osk, and Hera Björk, we will probably have 2 qualifiers. Again, there will be 2 artists qualifying from 5, and after that, I'm not really sure. They might have a wild card out of the rest, but they might not. We don't really know for sure. So yeah, that is Söngvakeppnin semifinal 2. And as usual, of course, everyone has to sing in Icelandic, including Bashar Murad, which is very interesting because he doesn't actually speak Icelandic, but his pronunciation is good. So we'll have to see what happens. After that, we have San Marino. We don't even have the finalists yet. I think the semifinals are being broadcast in kind of the days running up to the final. But one thing that's interesting is that there's going to be a song written by AI which will compete in the final. I'm not really sure how that works. Like, obviously we have the song, but who's going to sing it? So I'm not really sure how the mechanism for that is going to work. So yeah, there's that. There's also another thing, which is that Migara, who you might remember from Benidorm Fest last year, they were rejected this year, but this time they're in San Marino with a song named 1111, basically. And I think it's kind of rock, but with a little bit of flamenco, as I understand it. I haven't listened, but that's what I understand from reading the comments and such. So that could be interesting, and maybe we will have Migara represent San Marino. So that's something, I guess. But also, actually, one thing I want to talk about with San Marino is that on the same day as Poland, we will be also having the big artists in San Marino. And actually, a few days ago, after the end of San Remo, the accounts from San Marino openly invited some of the artists from San Remo to go to San Marino. That could happen. Who knows? Maybe we'll have Annalisa for San Marino instead, but we'll have to see what happens when it happens, I guess. So yeah, we'll be getting the big artists for San Marino on Monday, as well as the Polish artists and song, of course. So yeah, that's San Marino. And finally, finally for Saturday, we will have the first semi-final of Festival da Canção, which is the national final for Portugal. Now, there's one name that everyone has been talking about, and that a lot of people think are probably going to be a big favorite for Portugal, and that is the song Grito, sung by Yolanda. That is a big favorite for a lot of people. I haven't heard it myself again, but I think a lot of people really, really like it, and it could possibly be a big favorite in the national final and in Portugal as well. I don't really know. There's no huge favorites yet. I don't think a lot of people are really following Portugal this year, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that is what Portugal is doing for semifinal 1, and in this semi, we will have Gritu sung by Yolanda. So that's one to look out for, but I'm sure there's others as well. But again, not a lot of people are actually talking about Portugal this year. So yeah, that's that for Saturday. And finally, for this video, we have Dora. That is, of course, the national final for Croatia. And this is the final for Dora. And for some reason, they have it on Sunday rather than Saturday. But, you know, it's their choice. I guess, you know, it is a little bit better, so they get a day for, like, rehearsals, I guess, for the artists in Dora. And basically, there's two favorites, I guess. The first one is Let Free. Yes, they're back already. And they claim that an AI has written their song, and they keep doing like these skits to pretend that an AI has written their song and is threatening them to sing it on the Dora stage, which interesting publicity stunt. But yeah, I haven't really listened to much of it, but the little that I did listen to, I didn't really like, same as their 2023 entry. But anyways, they are not the main favorite, believe it or not. The main favorite is an artist named Baby Lasagna with the song Rim Tim Tagi Dim. Now, what's interesting about this is that initially Baby Lasagna wasn't even in the final roster. If you didn't know, they have a system where they select 24 acts, and among those 24 acts, they will also after that have like 4 backups basically. And actually, Baby Lasagna was among the backups. So one artist withdrew. I think her name is Zaza or something like that, and she actually is good friends with Baby Lasagna. So seeing this, she decided to withdraw and let Baby Lasagna actually participate in the national final itself. And oh boy, was that a good decision, because Baby Lasagna is now really, really popular in Croatia. His song Rim Tin Tagi Dim has been #1 for weeks now in Croatia. I think I would even say months at this point. So yeah, it's huge in Croatia. His song has absolutely gone viral in Croatia. And at this point, if he doesn't win, I don't know who will. So that is Dora. We're probably going to get Baby Lasagna. That I still can't take that name seriously. But yeah, Baby Lasagna is probably going to represent Croatia with his song Rim Tim Tagi Dim, which actually is in English, not Croatian. But yeah, so that is that for Croatia, and that is that for the 4th week of February, after which I hope I can do a video as well for reviewing the 4th week, and also taking a look at the next heat afterwards. So with that said, that is pretty much it for the review and preview section. But for this week, I also want to take a look at the odds that we currently have for Eurovision 2024. And here are the odds. So I'd like to remind you that these are actually winning odds. You can see who will win the contest. So you might be surprised to see a lot of these selected acts that are at the bottom. But basically, the idea that they're kind of conveying with this is not that they'll do poorly, but more so that they won't win. If a song does well but it doesn't win, there's no point betting on it here, because it's not going to win. So that's why we have songs like Albania and Czechia. They could do respectively in the grand final. They could of course not qualify as well, but this doesn't immediately mean that they are like kind of ruled out of everything. So yeah, this is basically more who will actually win rather than who will actually do well. So right now, you can see here we have Czechia, Albania, Malta, Luxembourg at the bottom. Again, I think the idea really is that the songs won't win rather than won't do well. So that's why some of these songs are down here. And if we move up, you can see that we have some very interesting results at the top. For some reason, we have Georgia at 12. I wrote this on the blog earlier, but actually, Nutsa Buzaladze was actually in North Macedonia earlier with Marko Dimitrov, basically working on her Eurovision entry. So I'm guessing the Georgian entry this year will have a little bit of a Balkan color to it. Another notable thing is Ireland. They have selected the song Doomsday Blue from Bandy Thug, which I thought was really good. And again, it's probably one of the songs with the most personality from Ireland in the last 20 years. So yeah, I think it's a very good choice, but I do think it's probably a little bit inflated on here because you need to consider that a lot of these bookmakers are actually UK and or Ireland based. So a lot of the people who bet on these will be from Ireland and or the UK. So I think that's kind of why they're being betted on so hard right now. Same case with Ollie Alexander. He is a big name in the UK, but for a while, the UK was actually boosted up to number 1, which, that was an interesting time for sure. But for some reason, Ukraine is actually the big favorite right now. I'm not really sure why. I think the song is good. I love the song, actually. I played it a lot. But I'm not sure the song is that much of a runaway favorite as the betting odds seem to suggest. But yeah, after that we have Italy. A lot of people seem to like La Noia, and I think it's a banger, of course. And of course we have Israel there, and also Iceland, which is kind of hilarious if you ask me. The possibility of Iceland being represented by a Palestinian and then being this high in the odds, just right below Israel. And of course, we have Sweden and Croatia. Yes, that's basically baby lasagna. I don't know if it's going to do that well. In fact, I kind of have my doubts, but yeah. This Germany thing, it's actually from Rick, actually, I would say. And, in, I think, a day or two, people will probably start voting for, or rather betting for other stuff. So, yeah, this will probably start going down eventually. But yeah, there's that. There's also Finland, which I don't think will win, but if Windows 95 Men does go to Eurovision, I think this could be a good contender for maybe just getting a good result in televote, because this absolutely will get tanked in the jury, just you watch. And I think Norway is actually a little bit underrated, so I think their entry is really unique, and I think it's probably one of the entries I would say has actual potential to win the contest this year, but we'll have to see. So yeah, and then lower down we have France, who I think, judging by how things go, will probably sweep the jury at this point. And then we have Switzerland. There were rumors earlier that Dana might be representing Switzerland. Dana is a friend of Taya and Selena, but she's a Swiss artist, and there's a possibility that she might represent Switzerland, but we don't know for sure. I think it's going to only be announced in March, and so we'll have to see what happens. Lithuania at 15th, I would say that's kind of about right, if not a little bit too high, but that's just personal opinion. I'm not a big fan. Well, I'm not a big fan, but I'm not wild about Luke Delk, about Sylvester Belt. So yeah, we'll have to see. I think that sounds about right, to be honest. So yeah, those are the odds. If there's anything interesting, you can point them out in the comments, I suppose. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video that's going to do it for this episode of Review and Preview. So next week, join me as I look back at Melody Festivalen Heat 4, Semifinal Semifinal 2, Una Voce per San Reno, the semifinal of Festival de Canção, Dora, and also take a look at Heat 5 of Melfest, the final of Semifinal Pesma za Eurovision. I'm starting to lose my voice, and also the second semifinal of Festival de Canção. So that is about it for this video. Like this video if you enjoyed my commentary. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss my future uploads, including the vlogs that I will I promise I will eventually edit, and of course more episodes of review and preview as well. And yeah, that's it, and I'll see you next time.